Okay, the next beatitude that Jesus talks about in Matthew 5 is in verse 4. Talks about blessed are those who mourn because they will be comforted. And when we talk about mourning, usually we think of funerals, we think of death, we think of end of life, but that's not necessarily the context for everything that people mourn in. Today, a lot of people are mourning. We think of the violence and the protests that are going on. We think of different things with the virus that's going on, and those things where the virus has caused death, but also different things. We're in mourning of the way life used to be that's not right now. We're in mourning of how things are going to change for the future. Some things temporary, some things permanent. If you think about the places maybe you ventured out to go to, thinking about going to a business and thinking, this is probably how it's going to be for a long period of time. And you mourn because maybe you have to wear a mask where you didn't have to before. You have to keep that physical distancing away from different people. You go to a doctor's office and it's different than it was before, and you mourn. Even church, when you get back to church, things aren't going to be the same that you remember them. And for some of us, it'll take a time of mourning to be able to deal with that. But also we see people resist mourning, right? People that just say, I'm not going to deal with it. I'm going to distract myself. I'm going to ignore it. I'm not going to talk about it. And that's not really dealing with mourning. That's just avoiding it. Because in mourning, that's where you get comforted. When you talk about it, when you admit, yeah, this is bad. Yeah, I don't like this. And you talk about the things that you don't like, and you talk about how you wish things that were, but then you also talk about, well, this is how I'm going to move forward. Because that's all the process of mourning. Isn't just mourning what you've lost, but also looking ahead to the future. And it doesn't mean that it's going to stop, right? If you've lost someone, you know that mourning lasts a lifetime, although it comes about in different ways. And so with those who mourn, the only way they're going to be comforted is if they deal with it, if they talk to others about their mourning and admit that they're mourning and admit that they don't like the way things are. But it's also that other side of mourning too, of we're going to get through this because I've mourned before, I've gotten through that, and I'm going to get through this as well. So that's what we're talking about when we mourn with those who mourn, right? We mourn to bring comfort into their lives. We mourn to be comforted. And for something that somebody is mourning over, you might think it's not important because that doesn't affect you that way, but for them, that is important. So I encourage you to pray that people do mourn over the things that they've lost or the things that they know they're going to lose just because of future guidelines, things like that. So pray that those who mourn, that they will mourn, but more importantly, that they will be comforted, that they will have that hope through mourning.